Hi there. So today we're going to start a series on a game engine called RGPtools. And I'm actually using this right now to make a game. And I'm not going to show you that game in this tutorial series. This tutorial series is going to show you kind of how to use RGPtools, but also how to implement Pioneer Valley Games digital art assets. So these two products work very, very well together, but they are not really affiliated in any way, except that Jesse from Pioneer Valley Games has an agreement with Martin from RGP Tools to use some of his content in the engine. And he's also developing further content in order to, which he sells on itch.io, in order to allow aspiring game developers a lot of extra art content for very affordable pricing. And that art content is starting to be specifically made for the RGP Tools game engine. So I personally think that instead of calling it RGP Tools, it should be called RGP RPG Engine. But it started as RGP Tools because it wasn't a full-on game engine back in the day. Martin had started developing it simply as a way to make character sprites and put some animations together and utilize a method of exporting them for people to use in other game engines. Then, as his skill sets developed and as he got more enthusiastic about his product, he turned it into a full on game engine for one specific genre of games. Although, that being said, it can actually do two varieties of that genre of game. It can do turn based action combat, like the Baldur's Gate and the Icewind Dale series. It can have party or single player. It can also do full on action combat like the Diablo series. And in there, it can also have action, party, or single player as well. However complicated you want to make it, you can do it. But it is a 2D engine, not a 3D engine, although it has some limited 3D capabilities in the level design area of it. And it did have some 3D capabilities in the particle effect systems. But that being said, those are merely to make it look much more realistic and stuff. It is primarily a 2D game engine. That being said, in this first episode, we're going to take a look at that. And then we're going to take a look at how to set up the Pioneer Valley files if you purchase more in order to work with it. And then in the next episode, we're gonna go in and give you some hands-on with it. But we're just gonna get a project up and running and give you the tutorial of how to get moving with your own art assets that you've licensed through someone else or potentially made yourself. I've made these same types of art assets myself, and I actually have a few that I utilize. So that being said, I'm going to switch over here to screen capture, and we're going to get started on this playlist. So what you see in front of you is a folder that I have with all of my content for the game that we're going to make here. So I started and created a project, and by default it saves it in my documents folder, RGP Tools, and then I've called this Cryptid Force because I'm going to make this. I didn't want to show you the game I'm working on, Oli's Odyssey. Instead, what I wanted to do is just kind of start something from the ground up and just use all the basics in it, make a basic action game or a turn-based game so that you can understand all the principles behind it and how things work. And we'll just do a weekly or maybe 2 episodes a week or something, maybe even 3. I don't know. It depends how busy summer is here for me. But we'll just keep moving ahead with that and show you how to use the engine as this tutorial set evolves. And then there's a folder called Assets, and then in here it's basically pack tiles, RGP tiles, and that's where everything is dumped. So you could just dump them in the base of assets, and then everything would be good there. So if I go into assets, I've got effects. Sorry, I'll go up more. Let's go to the root of the where the project is saved here. So the project is saved here. It's called Cryptic Force. Those are other. These are other projects that I've been working on. There's Oli's Odyssey there. There's just a template I made in order to give myself a bunch of working files to begin with to get started. And then these were just ones when I was learning how to use the software a little bit that I should clean up and get rid of. But anyway, we'll go into Cryptid Force. And in here, you've got a couple of folders. So assets is primarily where most of your crucial artwork is going to stay. So if we go into here, we've got effects, which isn't going to be much right now, just this animation of a fireball. But there'll be more stuff added to that in the future. Otherworld monsters. This is a whole bunch of stock monsters. I just extracted the whole director there to give me a bunch of monsters to use in this. Because I'm going to probably use a couple of these as characters because Cryptid Force, right? Then character pieces. These are actually pieces used, male or female. I'll just open up female. I'll just show you the base here. Let's go here, female base 1. And you can see here, this is, let me just try and make this a little bigger here. On screen. I don't know if that's going to preview any bigger. But basically, this is just a bunch of different portraits that you can use in game for character, and this is of the base. How this works is things layer on top of each other. You start with a base layer and you work your way up. Here's a spreadsheet of the base layer. And what's in here is a whole bunch of different actions like idle, die, cast, one-handed weapon, dual wield, two-handed weapon, shoot, etc., etc. There's just a bunch of actions in there, and they've all been rendered out in 8 directions. We'll go up here. Now I'm going to just show you, and then there's 2 other females, basically just different skin colors. RGP1, base portrait, and again spreadsheet. So just another one again. So these are add-on females that I've extracted from another pack. So there's like 6 different base models to work with that are all slightly different. Right, then you come down here, you've got bottom, hair, head, shadow, top, weapons. Weapons pretty easy. We'll just open up, I'll just show you your sword. Pretty hard to see it really, but so this is set up to overlay in the hand for the different portrait characters. So basically what Jesse from Pioneer Valley Games did, and I can't speak highly enough of his artwork. If you're making a 2D game, go out and buy it. It's really good stuff. But he has here these coincide and were rendered out with the base model. So he set all these up in the engine and turned elements on and off and rendered them out into these different portraits. And here, it's going to be really hard to see it because of white background and tiny little graphics. But you can see that a few little gray dots on your screen probably. But those are all the different alignments for all the different actions. And those all coincide exactly. And he's done that systematically with all of his stuff. I'm going to show you a better... not in weapons, but I'll show you in something a little more visible for you. I'll go top here. And we'll go down here to item 5 because I think that's... no, it's not item 5. What was it? Item 4. No, that's plate armor. Item 6. This one's something that's really going to stand out. There we go. This one's pretty good. It's red, so it'll stand out a little bit. So you can see here, this is basically like a dress. What was 7? What's 7? No. Add on. Oh, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so that one's probably a little more visible for you on screen. So that's a dress. I'm not sure why the shoes are there, but you can see it's in the different poses that align with that base character for the animation. So you can see that's a layer that will just sit on top of that base. And then you can't really see it, but it shows up better than the sword did. Same thing, the dress for all the different 8 directions and all the different poses. So you understand how that works now. All right, so basically what we're going to do now is I'm just going to go back here to assets. Edit here, I've got creatures. Same thing, gonna have different monsters and creatures. I'll just portrait for a rat, spreadsheet for a rat, and then you've also got shadows. So basically this is a layer that goes underneath and offset. So if I click on this, you can see it shifted just a little bit. So basically it shifts to the right and down just a hair. With all of Jesse's assets, he's pretty much made them so that the shadows sit to the right and down just a little bit. So that's just so that they're all uniform and nothing's all funky. So if you do make your own assets and you're going to intermix them, try to make sure that you render out the shadows and stuff to align with that to the right and down a little bit. So just a little tip for you. And then they're same with all of these. Don't need to go into much detail there. You can see what's what. And then we've got tiles. So in tiles, what we've got is all these sorts of things. Now, when you get the base, you're just going to have a few with the RTP files prefix or in there. So you can see medieval RTP, medieval RTP. So there's going to be a few of these in the base kit. Like just enough to give you the level, like to give you the levels from the example game that he supplies with it, for you to go through, play, learn, figure out how to make it work. When you buy the content pack, you're going to get all these medieval, medieval castle, medieval ground, medieval nature and flora, medieval RTP building extensions, and all. So you're going to get all the medieval, and you're going to get the medieval RTPs. So those all come with the content pack, which I forget exactly what I paid for it. I think it was like $30 or something. I bought it a couple of years ago, and I've only ever used it to make my own sprite sheets. I'm just recently using it as a game engine. So that being said, then you've got music, and then these other ones you see, these are other packs that I've purchased. So there's like all this Norfolk bushes, Norfolk buildings, Norfolk trees, characters, objects, otherworld monsters. I believe that one actually came with it. I don't think I unzipped that in here. Doomsday Character Creator Kit 1, 2, Doomsday Rural's Tile, Doomsday Zombies, because I'm going to use zombies in this game example, because of course I am. And then I'll just show you how this works. So basically, I've got a folder on my storage drive where I've got all these zipped folders of all the content that I've purchased over the years from Jesse. So I've pretty much bought everything he's offered, and there's even a humble bundle with some other third-party stuff in here that I purchased as well. Martin had advertised it on his Discord. So again, RGPtools Discord and Pioneer PV Games Discord, really good places for learning how to use all this stuff. That being said, sound effects like are usually OGG files, etc., etc. But so basically, I just copied. I'm going to close that down now. Copied that into RTP tiles, pasted it in here. Then I'm just coming in here, extract all. That's where I want to put it. Extract. And there it is. Close that down. Go up. Now I can just delete. And I've deleted the zipped file. And now I've added Character Creator Kit 2. So it's that simple. So when you fire up, once you've put all these resources, once you've created a base project, and I'll show you how to do that, even though I'm not going to do it. I'll just show you the steps. It's super simple. And then you put all your assets in there. Then when you open the engine the very next time, you're going to have access to those assets. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go away from here to my secondary drive into my RGPtools. And this is basically when you download RGPtools. Let me just show you that here, one sec. Let me go up a layer. Art resources. All the way down here. Right here is what you're going to get a download from itch.io when you purchase it, when you purchase the content pack. And if you download the demo pack to just try it out, it won't have content in it. It'll just say RGPtools. And then you just unzip it to the location that you want to run it from. So for me, that's just a folder on the root of my secondary drive. So once you open that folder, you're going to have this project folder where it saves stuff. Like, so I put stuff here, the example projects there. And then I had this other one, Oli's Odyssey. I put a permanent copy there to use as a template. So that's for making a new template or saving a project as another in order to get up and running. But that being said, most people are going to run the game.exe, which is the example project, so that they can play through, see what the engine does, explore it a little bit. Then they're going to close that off once they figured that out and you kind of got a feel for what this engine is capable of making. Then you're going to run this, RGPtools, and that is the actual game engine. And now it's opened up into this project. And it's got all my assets laid out, how I've designed that file structure that I showed you. So something else in the file structure that I'm going to show you here in 1 second is it saves, when you create a new project or save as a project, it's going to save it into your documents, RGPtools, into a folder, which I showed you before. But when I go back into this Cryptid Force, assets, and then I go into pack tiles, RTP tiles. You can see here I've created this ground tiles folder, and what I've done is I've separated this out, and you can see I'll just coordinate here fluids. I'll go into fluids because that's easy. So water tile 1, water tile 2, water tile 3, water tile 4, so on and so forth. And then over here I'll go into, let's say, grass, dry grass 1, dry grass 2, dry grass 1, grass 2, thick grass top, etc., etc. So just so you can see how I've set this up for my efficiency in my workflow. So when I come in here, these live at a higher level: transparent tile, dark tile, and white tile. And those are basically for masking off areas. So if I wanted to do white tile, I could just paint white right there, and I've got a white spot. Same with the dark spot. If I want it black and you can't see what's going on, there we go. I got a black spot. So that's basically how those are used. Transparent tile, I haven't quite figured out how to use transparent tile yet. I think it just kind of makes a hole in the ground, but I'm not really sure. It looks the same to me as a black tile, but I'll have to figure out how to use that. I haven't had a circumstance come up yet where I've needed it for anything. So, but then here we are. See, water tile 1, water tile 2, water tile 3, and so on. Down here, dry grass 1, dry grass 2, grass 1, grass 2, etc., etc. So what I've done is I've put my files and folders in the order where I want to be able to browse them at. And I've set that up in advance so that it's super easy for me to go in, except there is a bit of a bug in the engine, and I'll show you that here. As I scroll down, I keep seeing more and more and more files, and it keeps showing like Dirt 6, Dirt 7, but it's not actually replicating these out. Like, so there's all this moss, extra dry grasses. What it is that this window, if I open it up all the way, they're all going to show up for me here. And there they all are. So they're not being duplicated except for this one here, kind of is ground tile 2. There's a couple that are in the RTP pack that I haven't sorted out yet that are in there. There's another one here, I think, ground tile 1, etc., etc. So any that are in there are going to be duplicated out. But it's a bit of a bug where it shows them multiple times. But I've got it set up so that I'm able to work with that. I know that it's going on. So I just wanted to show you that it is a bug, that it is replicating out extra tiles, even if they're named the same, right? So that being said, I'm just going to shrink that down again so that we can work with it. You can dock these. but I'm going to go there. So what I want to do now is just kind of give you an overall basis, and then we're just going to get a chunk of ground set up here to start with. So basically this is the level editor, and I'm just going to zoom out so you can see this level. So now I can change the settings on the level editor if I want to, simply by coming up to the edit button, and I can go to resize, and then instead of being 64 tiles by 64 tiles, I can make that whatever I want to. So I can make it a much smaller area or a much bigger area. I'm just going to leave it at 64 tiles by 64 tiles, and hit cancel. I don't need to actually resize that map. But what I do want to do is I'm going to take some water. I'm going to make this a swamp, I think. So I'm going to go with this water. And then what I'm going to do is just come down here. And it says, what layer am I working on? Tiles. So here's my tiles layer. My background objects layer. My objects layer. And I'm going to explain these as I lay things down here. But I'm going to go from place tiles to fill mode. And then I'm just going to fill it. So now I've got some water there. Now I'm going to change this back from fill mode to place tiles mode. I'm going to come down here to sub thick grass, grass 2. There, this one. How about this one? Moss 1. Let's do a little moss 1. And then you can actually change the shape. A lot of things are these expandable tree menus. And so you open those up and you've got more options. So we're on a rectangle here. I'm going to change that to a circle. It's a 3. I'm going to make it a little bigger here. I'm going to go up to a 6. And then what I'm just going to do is I'm going to just start with a... And then I'm going to shrink that down again with a 1. There we go. And then we've just laid down some basic ground. I don't want to get too fancy with it, but I just want to do that. And then I'm going to go and save the area. Save. Save the level. And we are going to call this level, and we are going to call this start underscore swamp. And it saves out into JSON format to keep all the settings. Okay, so now what we've done is we've set up our basic level, and we've got something to work from to begin to make our game here. I need to go back to this one again and maybe put a little bit up. No, I don't want to add anything else. I'm just going to leave that now because we're going to do a whole section on editing. I just wanted to get us a base map to start with and then go over, save it, and then I can change out of the level editor and show you some of the other pieces in this game engine. So what we're going to do is just briefly cover the components in this level editor. So you've got your scale, you've got your actual level here that you're editing, and then you've got your shapes and your painting. There is something that I wanted to do here that I didn't do, so I've got this as water, but I want to give it a little bit of life. So what I want to do here is this is the animation speed for the tile, and you can set an animation speed to pretty much any tile, and it uses a shader. There is one provided in the engine for you. There's a couple different ones actually, but there's one provided in the engine for you for this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this to 5, and we'll go 7. And then, oh, sorry, I was on the wrong one. 5 and a 7. There we go. And now that water, you can see it's slightly moving, right? And then this water, we've got a little bit of a, we'll just add a couple little hot spots in here. I don't know if these are going to work out. I'm going to have to change them later, but just to show you the difference, in the water. So now if I zoom in on the water here, and then you could use your arrow keys to move up and down. These bars I found are slightly hard size to see. So there is something you can do here to change that. Is you can go into your options here. There's a snap, keyboard zoom, speeds. Where is it? It's just trying to see where it was. You save. Is it F10? No. F5 is run. Properties. It's not there. Tools. Might be game setup. So if you go into game setup menu, you can actually choose if you're going to be round based, real time, enable combat pause, so you can like hit the space bar something to pause. Mouse and keyboard movement, mouse movement, keyboard only, keyboard movement, mouse turning. So basically you move your mouse, your character changes direction, then you use the WSAD keys to move, which you can set up in the bindings if you want to, but I'm just going to do that. File, save. I don't know where it is off the top of my head, but you can actually change. For some reason, I thought it was in here. You can actually change the interface size. Well, I'll show you that in another video. I'll find it off camera and then I'll show you where that is in another video. It is in here somewhere. It might even be. Let me just see. Tools. Where's my game setup? Game setup. No, it wasn't in game setup. File. It might be in the data editor. Oh, so we'll get there in a minute. Okay, so anyway, I've built this, and we'll go File, Save, and now you've got your typical menu across the top. You can view different things. You see me click through it. It shows you screens per second up here for basic troubleshooting, or your frames per second, sorry. But in this interface, so you see me lay tiles down. So now if I go to background, there we go. There's things that I can lay down in the background. And you can actually filter those. So through directories, or you could search. So I think what I'm going to do is go tree. I'm just going to search for a tree. And then you can find all these trees to lay down in the background if you want. But I don't actually want to put trees in the background. So I'm going to go rock. And I got some mossy rocks here. So I'm going to lay this one down here. I need to zoom out a bit here. Okay, we're going to start the character, I think, right up here somewhere. So we'll put a rock there. Some more rocks there. Now these are all in the background, so when the player walks, not rocks, they will travel over top. And then just quickly dropping these into place. And this one. these. These are pretty good. They just give a little bit of breakup of the texture of the ground, whatever ground you're using. And there's some bigger rocks here that can go in anywhere. I don't want to use those though. Large rock, 1, sure. And I don't need to get too carried away. Maybe down here we want to do something a little different here. What do we got? Snowy rocks. I don't know if I need any more. Let's go. Do we have ferns? No. Bushes. Sure, I got some bushes. Let's put some bushes down. Come out from that rock a little bit to look cool. Let's try and let's try that one. Right there, sure, that looks good. All right, enough with the bushes. So now we want to go to the next layer. I could put grass or whatever. Well, let's try some grass. I'll throw some grass down there just to show you grass as well. There we go. We got some grass. What have I got? Sure. Use that one. Change it up a bit. Go to this one. Change it up a bit again. All right, good enough. We got some grass in there. Got any, sure, let's find some cattails or something. Oh, there's some fern-like things. Let's throw a couple of these clumps in. What the heck? There we go, good enough. All right, now then, that little color. This one. There we go. That's enough. All right, perfect. File, save. Now we're going to move on to objects layer. So in the objects layer, what we now have is same things filterable, same things sortable. But what we want to do is we want to now, I want to lay down some trees. And then what type of tree do I want to put down? I don't want dead trees. I want to look for something that's kind of like swampy looking mangrove. I could go with palm trees, I guess, but they're not really mangrove-y. There's some pines. What have I got? I don't even know if I've got anything mangrove-y. Here's this spruce. Is that one? These are kind of... Yeah, it's kind of mangrove-y, sure. Okay, so we're on the object layer here, and so I'm going to Put that guy there. Put this guy here. Put this guy here. And put this guy here. There we go. So now you hit escape if you don't want to place any more of that object. And now I've placed these trees down here. And what you can see is that they are, I'm going to place a couple other ones here. Let's put this guy here, this guy here, this guy here. There we go. Just put some little spraggly dead like ones down. Okay, so we've got those down. So now you need to block these off. So we're not going to do anything on the effects layer yet, but the effects layer is where you would lay down particle effects like smoke, fire, those sorts of things, right? You'd put some of that down. So if I had some mist coming off of these spots here, well, let's do something here. Let's go effects. Sure. Do I have anything? No, you know what? I'm going to do that in a whole different lesson because I'm going to show you how to make particle effects and lay them down. So we'll just jump onto path next here. So in the path, what you do is you've got this red dot. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And what it does is it shows where the character can't walk. So I'm just going to go there and there, there, and there, 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 and there, there, there. Then arrow keys to move up because I didn't change the interface size. It's really hard to get this without clicking down and laying a dot. By the way, if you lay a dot somewhere you don't want to put it, did I get everything? I think I might have got everything. Oh no, there's one there. Okay. There. There. Okay, so say I put one here and I don't want to put it there. Oh, crap. Well, how do I get rid of it? Right click doesn't do anything. Left clicking won't remove it. It'll just put another one, paint another one on the screen. So what you do is you hold down Control, and then you can see it disappears if I click. So I click, click, click. Control gets rid of them. So important to know. File, save. You could also add lights into layers and sounds. So I don't really want to add any sounds or lights. I don't have anything picked out for this lesson. But again, it's the same thing. You would just come in here and you would find a sound that you want. Add a sound. Browse. What have I got for sounds? Sound effects. I don't have anything in this project, I don't think. Music. I got a bunch of battle music and stuff, stock stuff, wilderness. Let's just see. How about we do this one? Sure. Okay, and now, so I've selected that sound, and I'm just going to place it there. So now what I can do is I can adjust the settings on it. So you can see the radius here. So if I click on this, oh, it's not adjusting actually, sorry. I have to select it. Oh, that one's bigger. Okay. So there's another window here. And where is it? Edit sounds. Delete. Okay. I want to edit this sound. So what I want to do is bring its radius up. So I wanted to create that other one so that I could show you that once you've placed something and you go to edit it, you can't just edit it. You've got to actually select it or go into edit sounds. So I'm just zipping this one up. And I'm going to actually just go, there we go, 2000 is fine. I can live with 2000. Okay. And then position. There we go. Let me just zoom out here a little bit. And that's not quite down enough. So I think I want to take that down to 1700. Perfect. And then over here, I want to move from 16 to 18. Maybe 1900. Good enough. Same with this one, I think. Yeah, okay, good enough. Perfect. File, save. So now, let's just say we built the editor, okay? So now we want to go into our data editor. So we've got a GUI editor, we've got a particle editor, character editor, and level editor. And level editor is the main area you're going to be working out to design your game. But everything else comes into play in other things. Now, there should be pre-built characters already in the data editor. So I'm just going to go into the data editor here. And what I want to do is start level. It says town 1. I'm going to change that. Browse. And what I want to do is I want to make that the area we just made. What did I call? Start swamp. There we go. Open. Perfect. All right. File. Save. And we're just gonna, it's got, the data editor has all these things, and we're going to cover these in future episodes. But just be aware that this is where you could figure all the logic behind your game. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the level editor, because you test out of the level editor, and I am going to hit play. And my character is going to spawn in. Now it looks like it's really slow loading, and it is, because what happens is when you're in test mode, it just kind of loads them in slowly, so easy on the resources while everything else is working. And I haven't blocked him off from going anywhere, so right now you can see I can move him around by clicking, and you can see all the stuff that we've placed on the ground. So there's all our ferns, our rocks, our ground, our swampy texture, our big rock. And those are all in the background. Like we set them so the character walks in front of these no matter what, right? So he walks in front of them. So on that rock, what we're going to do is we're going to go in and block that off, because we don't actually want him to walk in front of that whole thing. Or you could use it on the object layer and block it off so that if he's at the back end, he walks behind it, and if he's the front end, he works in front of it. Now, how the engine works, that's a little bit tricky, and you've got to be careful with your blocking and stuff, or else he might appear or not appear in front or behind, and I'll demonstrate that in a minute here. But basically, I want to show you on the trees here how I set those blocks up. You can see that water texture for the swamps working really well. Here's the tree. There's some bushes we're walking in front of. And there's the tree. So it's on the object layer, and you can see I'm behind it here. Now I'm clicking to move, but I can also move with WSAD. So there's WSAD. And you can see there's one of the funky radioactive slime things we put in just to show the difference in the animation. See how it's moving differently than the normal swamp grass is. Just wanted to demonstrate it by putting those in. We're actually probably going to get rid of those as we build out this level. But here we are, and I'm just going to show you that blocking in effect. So now I come in front of the tree, and there I am in front of the tree. But you can see I'm being blocked off here. So if I come up here, I'm still blocked off because I made the blocking that high. A little bit more, and I'll go behind the tree again. So that's how you prevent a guy from walking through something. And by being on the object layer, it's pretty smart to know when you're in front and when you're behind, but it is not perfect. And I'll show you that in this next step here. So what we've got is I'm going to go back to the background layer again. Actually, I'll go to the object layer again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go rock. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a great big rock here. Large rock. And I'll do this one here because that'll be easier to demonstrate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put him right down here below the tree. Hit escape so I'm not working with him anymore. Then come over to the path like we did before in order to block off the path. But instead of blocking off the path, I'm just going to save. I'm going to zoom in. I haven't actually given the character a starting area. But I'm going to zoom in here so that I spawn right in this region. If you haven't assigned an area and assigned the player to spawn in said area, then wherever you're looking at on the screen, he's going to spawn in and test it. So I'm going to hit play. He's going to spawn in. And now I'm just going to use the mouse keys here. And you can see I'm behind the rock, but now I'm in front of the rock. Behind the rock, in front of the rock. And I'm in front of the rock the whole way here. So you can see it just kind of magically cuts. And it doesn't always do that well. Nope. And there's my game sound kicked in. Not sure why it kicked out. I just triggered it again. Oh, because I didn't set the trigger range, so it's wanting to be near the center, I think. But that's all right. So how do we fix that? So what we do is we block this off now. Here, 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 and let's say here. Give that a save. And we'll try that again. Now, I can't go any more forward, but I'm still can go a little bit behind the rock. See, I'm a little behind the rock there. And then down here, I'm in front of it a bit. But I'm still too much on the rock. I'm climbing the rock. So I think we need to adjust that a little bit more. I think I need to go down to there so that I can go a little more behind. I want to change my shape on my path brush. I'm a rectangle, but I'm at 2. I want to go down to 1. And I want to go down to 1. So that makes a smaller red block. See, now it's half the size. So because of what I want to do here now is I just want to go here and here and here. And then that's going to just block that off that much better. File, save, play. Now I can walk a little bit more behind the rock. See there? Still blocked off from going too far over that way though. And then down here, I can come in front of it just a little bit. See, I'm bumping up against it. I can't go any further there. And you could tweak those as needed. But more or less, you get the idea of how you'd use that to replicate basically a 3D world environment, right? So that's how that pathing is used. Now, when you're in here, you can also hit F10. And that brings up, you have to be in run mode to pull up this menu. But that brings up this menu where you can actually change a few items here. So you can do some cheats, some heals and stuff. So if you're testing the game, you can heal yourself. You can kill a mob if you set it way too powerful. You can add resources, stats, items, etc., etc., etc. And you can turn things on and off, right? You check the day, what time of day is it, have you turned on. You can turn on day and night cycles, and you can script things and set things so that they actually work only at night or only at day. An example that Martin did was a cat. So at nighttime it went and curled up in a ball and slept, and in the daytime it wandered out into the square and was wandering around people. So there's different things you can do there. But anyway, that's the F10 menu. I just wanted to show that to you. And we'll exit out of there again. And basically, I think that this is where I want to leave it for the day, and then we'll come back. Oh, no, we got a couple more areas. So we did sounds. Can add lights. Lights are pretty good during the if you make a nighttime or you want something glowing or something. You can add area lights. They're pretty simple. I'll just quickly demonstrate that. Let's just go with a light. And what color do we want to make it? Let's make it a green glowy light. We'll go there, and then we're gonna make it. We'll make it a point light, and we're gonna put it. Scroll up here. Let's turn the fall off to 2. And oh, sorry, edit light. And a little more green, a little more green. Let's make that fall off 3. And then we're gonna, you can see as I move it around the screen here. Let me zoom out a little bit. As I move it around the screen here, well, I guess it's harder to see. But it, from side to side, you should be able to see it faintly moving. Let me just take that fall off to 2. I haven't quite figured out how the fall off is working. The one's bigger. You can kind of see that. Let's go down to 0.25, 0.25, 0.25. No, I think we'll just set it at 1. We'll just set it at 1. And when I'll do a whole thing on lights when I played around with them quite a bit more. Figured out what's what. Now then, I'm going to bring this down, lower to the ground. I want it right there. That's where I want it. Lower to the ground and right above the green. Now we got a glowy light there. Not that you can really see it, but as it got darker and turns into a night cycle, that will really glow and pop. But during the day, of course, it's going to be washed out because it's daytime. But I can put another one on a rock or wherever. You can put them in fires too to make fires glow. But that being said, I just wanted to show you how lights quickly worked, and then an area. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make an area, and I'm going to change the area to a circle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this area player start. And then I'm just going to put it right there. So there's player start. Okay. File. Save. Then we're going to go back into the data editor. And then we want to go start level. But what we want to do is actually, do I want to do that in this episode? You know, I might want to show you how to set that up later when we create an actual character. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think we're going to go back to the game editor, level editor, and we're just going to leave it like that. Yeah. I think we're going to leave it like that. I'm just going to save. Switch back to the main camera. And that's where we're going to leave it for today. So you've got a basic overview of where to set up your starting area in the data editor, how the file structure works, so where to put your custom files, and how to get in and start mapping out a territory. So I know this one is longer than what I said I wanted to run these for. This has been going on for almost an hour on this first one here, so it's a pretty long one, but it gets you started. And in the next one, I'll get into adding some more playability into the game and showing you how to do a few more things, like setting up your start area, creating your own characters for starting up and getting those things going. But this has been going on. I took a look at the clock. It's been going on for a while, so I just don't want to get into anything more here. So on that note, I'll see you in the next one.